Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hit that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit from Routine Sky 1292, and it says, Am I the arsehole here for not letting it go when my sister-in-law's boyfriend told me? Let's get one thing clear, I don't need to justify my actions to you. This situation happened back in May of 2025, so keep that in mind, but has been brought up again, so hence the post. I'll be so happy if at least one person reads all of this and gives advice. Me, 21 female, had been with my fiance, 25 male, for about 3 years when this situation occurred. I genuinely felt like I had created good relationships with his immediate family, his mum, his dad, his sister, 26, etc. I'm someone who each of these people have heavily relied on to help with doing their taxes, keep their car insurances up to date, help with school assignments. Both the mum and sister were in school, etc. I never said no to any request or need. Edit for context, for everyone not understanding me helping out, etc. Please read. You have to keep in mind that my family is Hispanic and I'm the only person who is fluent English. None were born in the US, only me. Not even my fiance is fluent, so it was natural for them to ask me for help and lean on me for everything, and I'm not great at saying no, especially to people I think care about me, so I took on more and more. I don't care that he helped, in fact I wish she got more help from others, like her other kids, so I wouldn't be the go-to person she asked, so I wouldn't feel bad saying no, because if I say no, she has no one to help her. I'm happy she has someone other than me to help because I'm not doing it anymore after everything. The time came that my fiance and I were going to move states for our jobs. When we were about to move, my sister-in-law, 26 female, introduced us to a new boyfriend of 1 week at the time, a male, 40 male. The age gap worried me for the reasons that my parents had an identical age gap, and it is precisely what tore them apart over time, but I kept that opinion to myself and supported their relationship. When we met him, I liked the guy, thought he had a good sense of humor and seemed nice. Around 4 months later, I was shocked when things went sideways. There was a mini situation that happened with him before this one. Let me know in the comments if you want me to explain it. My mother-in-law had asked me to help her find a new laptop, so I FaceTimed her and we talked for around an hour going over pricing and options. Finally, we settled on the 2025 MacBook Air M4. She was only going to use it for browsing, notes, and light schoolwork, so I recommended the one with a standard storage and RAM. This would save her close to $500 on a computer she's already paying $1,000 for, especially because I share 2 terabytes of iCloud storage with her that I personally pay for. So we went with that option and I ordered it. A few days later, she is talking on the phone with my fiance when she asks him to pass the phone for her to tell me something. She tells me that my sister-in-law's boyfriend said the laptop I picked was an older 2024 model, which isn't true. Based on that, he cancelled the order I'd placed and took her to buy a different one, which ended up being essentially the same laptop, just with more RAM and storage, so she spent more money for no real reason. I wasn't initially angry, but more annoyed because I had done the work and spent the time with my mother-in-law to arrive at that choice. Also, he said he cancelled it because it was an old model. However, I had the order confirmation with the model number to prove that wasn't the case. So to me, it was a big misunderstanding that led to my mother-in-law paying $1,500 for the computer instead of $1,000. However, she got more RAM and storage that she won't need. On her technological ability, she'll probably only use about 10% of the computer's capabilities in the first place, so the extra money felt wasteful. And she is not rich, so I decided since he is someone in the family, I'd reach out to him in a text to let him know there must have been a misunderstanding because the one I ordered is the same one he took her to get, and to ask that in the future if it's something that I already helped with to please reach out to me so we can chat to avoid misunderstandings. He responded with some computer specs and I just responded with proof that what I ordered was correct. Once I sent the proof, he responded with, let's get one thing clear, I don't need to justify my actions to you. If you have a problem with a decision, take it up with mother-in-law. My jaw hit the floor. I was not expecting that kind of reply and honestly felt disrespected. I replied saying that I'd come to him with a respectful tone, so I would like the same back from him, and even clarified that I was not asking him to justify anything, just wanted to avoid future misunderstandings. He left that message undelivered and refused to address it. Edit. And this is the same guy who months before called me while I was at work to yell at me because the Airbnb I booked for 8 people, including himself, for my mother-in-law's birthday, did not allow pets. It was free for everyone, by the way. I paid it all. I did not even know he had a pet and just assumed at his age he knew someone to watch his pets or would hire someone to swing by. It was one night. So he yelled at me while at work and asked me to justify that choice when it was a free stay for him. How would I know? Little did I know, he immediately went to my sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and father-in-law to complain about my text. He twisted it to fit his agenda, to make it seem as if I wanted him to give me the rundown every time he does anything. I found this out when I received a text later that some night from my mother-in-law, who texted me saying I did not have to get upset and go off on him. Never did that, but I replied saying that I did not know what she meant. In fact, that I felt disrespected by him. But at that point, she wouldn't hear me. My fiancé tried to address it with her and his sister, but they defended him, said his message wasn't disrespectful, and questioned why I even texted him in the first place. She also said that we were misunderstanding his tone. All this while I have the receipts. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I in the wrong? Was he not disrespectful? Should I let it go? Also, there is more that happened after. Edit for what happened after. Okay, so basically after the situation, my fiancé reached out directly to him to say like my intentions weren't to get him to justify anything, and that the comment he made was overly aggressive and not okay. That message was left undelivered. 6 months went by and there were crickets. No wanting to reach out for birthdays, no nothing. No effort to clear the air. But the time came for my mother-in-law's graduation from nursing school. I wasn't going to let that stop us from going and decided to go and be cordial and engage in a group setting, but not directly to him. We went, and when he approached, we're all Hispanic, he came and partially wrapped me in a hug and went to kiss my cheek. I said no thank you quietly. Not loudly, because to be honest, I did not feel like being touched and kissed by someone who literally disrespected me in the last thing he ever said to me and left it like that for 6 months. This was not witnessed by anyone. I did not want to cause a scene or anything. I came to find out at the end of our trip, literally at the airport, from a text my mother-in-law sent to my fiancé, that he had gone to my father-in-law and told him that I did not accept his hug and kiss. From there, my father-in-law told mother-in-law. The message my mother-in-law sent my fiancé was basically that I was not being mature, and that obviously him coming to hug me was him being the bigger person or something. The message hurt because it was intended to be behind my back, but my fiancé shared it with me. If anything, I knew I was going to be uncomfortable and I came anyways and did not cause an issue. But now I'm the issue again because I didn't want to be kissed. In response to the whole thing, my fiancé scheduled a call with him. On that call, it lasted 5 minutes. He wasn't letting my fiancé talk at all, so my fiancé asked if he could speak on each point he is trying to make because he won't be able to if he keeps going and won't let him. And he responded that he should get a pen and paper and take notes if he can't keep up. So my fiancé responded that comment is socatada in Spanish. Pronunciation, I apologize. Not sure the translation. And the dude hung up and said to call him back when he's man enough. After that, my fiancé said he isn't speaking to him because there's no speaking to someone who is so cool talking like that. So that's the most recent thing. So a commenter called Glitterbomb says not the arsehole. What he said was completely rude. My advice is to treat him like a coworker you don't like. Never engage with him. If you ever have to be around him, just be polite and never offer him a single thing. He clearly has a massive ego, so there's no point in wasting your time on him. Opie says, this is what ended up happening after. I was like, I'll just go visit and be cordial with everyone, but won't engage with him directly. Basically, he ran and complained about that too, and now I'm immature because I'm not over it. That was the very last thing you said to me. What do you expect? Another commenter says, actually, it's mother-in-law's fault for listening to a stranger she really doesn't know instead of the person who helped in the first place. Opie says, I agree with she's at fault. My thing is, his response was super aggro, when if I attached my text, I was actually nice. Like honestly, even if I was upset, I would not tell someone that I don't need to justify anything to them. And this is the same guy who months before called me while I was at work to yell at me because the Airbnb I booked for 8 people, including myself and my mother-in-law's birthday, did not allow pets. It was free for everyone, by the way. I paid it all. I did not even know he had a pet and just assumed at his age he knew someone to watch his pets or would hire someone to swing by. It was one night, so he yelled at me while at work and asked me to justify that choice. And it was a free stay for him. How would I know? Absolutely not the arsehole, but you seriously need to stop sort of overextending yourself to these people, because what's happening here isn't just one rude comment, it's a pattern of disrespectful behavior. And instead of anyone backing you up in this, they keep backing him up and defending him. That's the real issue there. But OP did come in with an update to this post and says, first and foremost, thank you to everyone who read my original post and offered feedback and advice. Honestly thought I would not have anyone willing to read a lot of computer spec BS, but I appreciate it so much. When dealing with a whole family pointing the finger at you, when you had the best intentions, you start to feel a little crazy, so all the comments definitely helped me feel grounded in my decision. As for the actions of my mother-in-law, father-in-law and sister-in-law, absolutely agree that a lot of true colours were shown. Me going and refusing the hug plus kiss happened back in December. Since then, I have not gone to visit and distanced myself substantially. In fact, so has my fiancé. Of course, he speaks to his parents, but my fiancé has not talked to his sister since then. When asked for help, I have simply directed my mother-in-law to others and explained that I am very busy. This was essentially a wake-up call for me to stop pouring so much into others who frankly don't have my back in the most obvious situations. My mother was someone who raised me believing love is earned and created me into someone who tries to go above and beyond in order to be loved. I'm working on that. I'm proud of myself for realizing that it is not healthy. Although my nature is to be helpful and generous, I need to learn that there is a healthy balance that can be achieved. As for the now 41-year-old, I'm not engaging and I'm not going to keep giving him fuel he can add to the fire. Me further defending myself would only give him the ability to twist it around, as he is local to my in-laws and has proven he has no problem gossiping to them. And as many of you have mentioned, it's an incredible waste of time. However, I do worry about my sister-in-law. I cannot help but worry about her and how it seems that this may be a tactic to isolate her. He already moved her in with him, and she was living with her parents, and now her brother and I are no longer in contact with them. However, I'm also aware that she's an adult and has the right to stay in a relationship as long as she wishes. I hope she is happy and I hope that he is treating her right, but how would anyone know since things are the way they are? As for my wedding, it is planned for late August. Many of you know I'm in no contact with 95% of my family, and initially was going to plan a wedding for his family, but this situation also reminded me to stay true to myself and make a decision that both me and my fiancé are comfortable with. We decided to elope somewhere beautiful, with no one but an officiant and a photographer, and no one in his family knows about that yet, but I am not going to allow that decision to be an open discussion. Our minds are made up, and at the end of the day, for both of us. The love we have for each other and sharing that beautiful moment is way more important than having a big wedding. However, we do agree that a party afterwards where we invite our friends and family would be great, so we're planning that for September. My sister-in-law will be invited to that party but will receive no +1. I'm not expecting this to go over well, but will not allow myself to be uncomfortable at my own wedding celebration. Thanks again to everyone who shared advice. I read every comment. A commenter said to OP, thank you for the update. Eloping is the perfect solution. I'm sorry about your family, both of them. Hope you have chosen one with your friends. Bonus, with the money you would have saved from not having an expensive wedding, you may be able to have a honeymoon of your dreams and still spend much less than you with a wedding. Now go celebrate your love. Many of us don't have that, so enjoy each other. Please update after your nuptials and dream honeymoon for those of us following your story. Opie says damn right. The money being put into a honeymoon/house down payment is a huge plus. Thank you. I'll update again after the honeymoon. A commenter who was downvoted says, yeah, you sound horrible to be honest. No contact with your family and now you're cutting his family off too. Definitely not just a one-sided tale of events here. I wonder how many other people you're going to end up cutting off in your life without ever realizing that you are the problem. Opie says, I never said I was cutting his family off. When did I say that? I said personally I'm taking some distance and limiting my help. As for sister-in-law's boyfriend, yes, I don't need to talk to him. Sister-in-law is not cut off. She just doesn't talk to us. Making a comment like this, insinuating stuff when you have no idea about my family is honestly insane. Those are things that I'm not ready to talk about, and I'm not going to here to prove some point. My fiancé is the witness and has seen everything pan out the way it has, and he is the only person that I need to know knows the truth. And that is where OP's story finished, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from a throwaway account from the relationships subreddit and says, my wife, 40 female, and I, 40 male, are having problems over one of her friends that she skis with. Background, my wife is an avid skier. She tries to ski every chance she gets, and that is often multiple times a week. I'm very supportive of this, as it seems like a good way for her to relieve herself of stress and generally makes her happier. She's made multiple close friendships through this hobby, male and female, and some weekends they take ski trips to resorts out of town. I ski sometimes, but I'm not an enthusiast, and this group wants to tackle a lot of challenging runs that I'm not capable of at my current skill level. Also, in the off-season, they do other activities to maintain their fitness. None of this has ever been a problem until recently. A few months ago, my wife went trail running with a guy, 45 male, named Josh, that was new to the group. I didn't know she was going alone until after she came back. I found that a little unusual since she usually goes with a couple of her girlfriends and maybe one other guy. Also, she had never really done this activity before. The next thing that happened I thought was unusual was she had COVID, so she was isolating from me. She wanted to watch a movie on Amazon Prime, and I told her to bring me a laptop so I could take care of the two-factor authentication stuff. While I was using her laptop, she seemed cagey and agitated and was hovering a little too close to me considering we were supposed to be isolating. At this time, I noticed she was looking at a love horoscope for her sign and Josh in one of her recently closed tabs. This didn't sit right with me, and I was stewing about it. My wife noticed and she asked why I was upset, and I confronted her. She told me the horoscope thing was just a curiosity, and she looks it up for other people as well. I find this hard to believe. She offered me her phone to look through her messages, and I went through them. There are a lot of messages for a text chain that started only a couple of months ago, probably more than we exchanged in the same period. Mostly her sending him memes and friendly back and forth. To me, it seemed excessive, and it looked like she was going out of her way to keep a conversation going with Josh. There's also a provocative exchange she made that went something like this. Josh said, "I would do bad things for some lasagna." Wife said, "Oh, like what?" with a laughing emoji. Josh says, "I don't know, steal it." Wife laughs and says, "That's not what I was thinking. That's what I get when my mind is in the gutter." And Josh replies with a laughing emoji. To me, this looks like an unsuccessful attempt by her to escalate the conversation, but Josh, to his credit, doesn't bite. When I saw this, I pointed it out, and she took blame for it and said she shouldn't have sent that. I'm shaking and very upset by all of this. My wife claims he's just one of the girls, and she isn't attracted to him because he's short and he's just a good friend. All of this reminded me of an emotional affair / sexting situation that I went through with my wife 10 years ago, married for 20. We got through that, and I was hoping that was behind us. In response to this, I set up 2 boundaries. 1. No more one-on-one events with Josh. 2. Avoid the one-on-one texting. There's not usually a reason to text one-on-one, and the same type of content can be shared in a group text. The next week, she said 2 of her girlfriends cancelled on an event, and she asked if it was okay if she went alone with Josh. I told her obviously not, because that was a boundary I set, and she was annoyed with me for saying no. She met with a therapist, and the therapist largely agreed with my point of view, and she seemed to be less annoyed with me after that. I've been off and on depressed about all of this, and during that she would ask me if there was anything she could do. I just asked her to follow the boundaries I've set. Cut to this last week. I asked her to check in on the boundaries I set. She admitted to texting with Josh again, and I asked to see her phone. There was a gap in the texting, but there was 6 or 7 consecutive days again with a lot of texting. Again, it's just benign texting, but it just seems kind of unnecessary. I don't know what we need 3 days around Christmas to text Merry Christmas and start a conversation. I don't think you need to tell your single guy friend good night in the evening. She said she was giving him a resource for some technical safety gear, and she started doing it again. I'm very upset again, and I tell her she was ignoring a clearly set boundary, and I'm not sure how we get past this as a couple. I find it really disrespectful and hurtful that she ignored this boundary, especially when she saw what it was doing to me. I found it very cruel. I talked to her about blocking contact with this person and ending the friendship so that we could move on. Considering that she's already violated a clearly set boundary, I felt the need to escalate. She seemed open to that initially, but was indignant about it later on. I've asked her to apologize for ignoring the boundary and disrespecting me and the marriage, promise she won't do it again, and outline some steps to ensure it won't happen again. She seems to think I'm setting up an ultimatum on friendship, but I just want a path forward I can be comfortable with. She says she wasn't doing this to be cruel. She doesn't seem all that sorry to me. She says she has a deep connection with Josh, but again, they're just friends. She doesn't want to end the friendship because she says she'll be outside the core group of enthusiasts and the activities they set up. My position is that my wife is acting inappropriately and disregarding my feelings by ignoring the boundary. I believe my wife loves me, but I also think she has a crush on this guy and is kind of acting on it and downplaying it. Am I overreacting? Am I being unreasonable? What should I do? A commenter says to OP, move out of the house and stay with friends. Show you're upset and tell her how she would feel if the roles were reversed and you did this all to her. Would she be okay with this? Make clear her behavior is not acceptable. She clearly has an emotional affair at the least. I assume she deleted lots of texts. Her buddy is more important for her than you. Does she work? What is she doing? Do you pay all the stuff with her skis and her trips? Do you work 5 times in a week? How much hours? We need more context, buddy. Opie says we both work full-time jobs. Taco Strong says, so the loop continues. What do you think is going to change this time? As long as this guy is in her orbit, she will eventually physically cheat. She's already emotionally cheating. Why haven't you simply left her already? I'm also very intrigued how she's able to ski a few times a week. No kids, I assume? OP says 1 teen daughter, 14. I provide transportation and typically meals for her. Commenter says she's sending him goodnight texts. That's very inappropriate, and I can't imagine how she'll explain that, especially after your initial boundary conversation. Is he ever flirty or inappropriate? Who initiates most conversations? Opie says, almost always my wife. I told her that at the time she stopped messaging. The conversation went dark, which tells you a lot. I've also told her she's putting him in an awkward situation because this married lady that she's friends with keeps texting him. So it was 38 days later that Opie came in to update the post and says the funny part before the rest. I had her read the original post to show how it looked to everyone. Her palm started to get sweaty, it left a stain on the laptop. She didn't have a lot to say about it except, wow, this is a lot to process. We set up a counseling appointment to work on things. The working solution we had was that she would tell me when they text each other. My wife was following through with that and I thanked her every time. I told her that if she slipped up in some way just to acknowledge it, not delete messages and whatnot. The counseling session was lame. The counselor seemed like he was on autopilot and just wanted to get to the Gottman books. We set up a couple of future appointments. She had a work trip coming up. We went skiing the day before and I took her to the airport and kissed her goodbye. I text her from time to time and she would send pictures of things she was seeing but seemed a little unresponsive. I figured she was just busy with everything going on. She never called me or our daughter. She would say she was taking a bath at the end of the night. I picked her up from the airport and brought her home and she seemed distant. I'd asked for a hug. She went skiing the next day. Things felt weird and I checked the phone bill and lo and behold, she called Josh for an hour one night and then he called her 2 other nights for a couple of hours. I checked her Facebook. The messages from her friends were talking about how he tried to kiss her at some point, but they hadn't cut him out of the group in any way. Also, one of her friends told her to delete messages and call logs before coming home as I might check them. These are all garbage people. I put her stuff in garbage bags and told her off when she got home. I told her she was a cheater and the guy was a cheater and they deserved each other. She didn't have much to say because she couldn't even come up with a bad lie. Filled the car up and left. I'm astounded at how morally bankrupt she is and her friends are as well. I've met these people. They knew who I am and that I'm a decent guy. I just can't imagine encouraging someone to hide immoral behavior. I asked her from the start of this mess if she wanted to exit the relationship and she said she wanted to work things out. She saw how much pain it was causing me and she kept doing it. You think you know people. I believe she was playing me and the guy off each other, hinting to him that our relationship wasn't solid and maybe someday they could be a couple, but also trying to reconcile with me. She's a narcissist and this was feeding her ego. The short term sucks because I'm stressed and it's hurting my ability to sleep. Sorry if some of this doesn't make sense. I know I'll be better in the long run, but this sucks right now. It's pretty lame that she gets to shack up with this dirtbag and I probably won't feel like dating for years. Anyway, once a cheater, always a cheater. Trust your gut. I should have told her to fuck off a long time ago. Hope I don't get destroyed in the divorce. TLDR, gave her the boot. Commenter says, what was her excuses? Opie says she couldn't even make up a bad lie. Mostly stunned silence. Evidence too strong and I didn't give her the chance to spin. Commenter says, do you believe she is staying with the affair partner? Update me. Opie says she has been. The commenter replies saying, certainly you are not expecting her to come back. Is her affair partner married or have a girlfriend? Opie says single. Commenter says keep in mind that if she read the previous thread, she might find this one, the advice in it, unsure how Reddit savvy she is. Opie says she's very Reddit tech unsavvy and all this is just uncomfortable truth for her anyway. She wouldn't seek it out. She's one of those people that Google searches the sentences. Bimmer says, "You did the right thing. The one piece of advice I would give people is that if you're able to control your emotions enough, try to leverage any guilt the cheating partner has to get them to agree to favorable terms in the divorce. If they're flying high on new relationship vibes, maybe feeling guilty about the cheating and also feeling like they just want to get it done. It can work out much better than if it turns highly adversarial or if the new relationship fizzles out and they want you back." Opie says she doesn't feel guilt, otherwise she wouldn't be doing this. She's a bad person. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.